I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and the Phablet Wars are back. It's part 2 of the review of the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 on PhoneDog, but first, some love to Best Buy Mobile for giving us devices like this for use in our One Pod Bandit giveaway game, which we give to you for free at instantwin.phonedog.com. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile, you won't have to worry about rebates, waiting 8 to 10 weeks for an annoying debit card, or filling out paperwork that you think you might fill out wrong and not get the rebate as a result. At Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out without dealing with any rebates. Is this the ultimate device, or should you go with something else? Perhaps the One X, perhaps the Galaxy S3, or perhaps something else like the Optimus 4X HD. Who knows? We'll find out in the full review, which starts right now. So part 2 of an epic review between the Galaxy Note 2. It's a supersized Android smartphone with a lot of great features, and while the size may turn some people off, for other people, the specs are going to make this the must-have device. Even if you don't like the size, the specs are killer here. I mean, I'll be honest with you, this device is even too big for me, but I love the fact that it has a 3,100 milliamp hour battery that actually makes it through the day for me. I love the quad-core Exynos processor. Always been a fan of Exynos since the original Galaxy S2 when it was announced in 2011 at Mobile World Congress. A great display, a great camera with some awesome features, S-Beam and more. So it's almost, it's kind of funny. This is the first review where I've been like, maybe we should split this into 3 parts because there's so much to cover, both software and hardware, but we're going to try to keep this in 2 parts. So we'll jump right in from here. Samsung Galaxy Note 2, as you can see here, take a look at part 1 because I covered some of the hardware stuff, messaging, and more. We're going to jump from here right into the browser. Now I've downloaded Chrome, and you can see out of the gate, and actually before we do that, I do want to show you one thing. I know I'm kind of jumping around here, but international device, like I said in part 1, so no pre-installed carrier bloatware or anything like that, but what you do get here is widgets, and overall user interface here, very similar to what you'd see on the Galaxy S3 with the widgets and the apps over here in the notifications area. Where you'll see some differences when I press and hold the screen, for example, and I set the wallpaper, you'll notice that this set wallpaper from area is very Jelly Bean-ish right here, where instead of listing them out, it actually shows icons in kind of a different format. That's a new thing with Jelly Bean. And also, I've downloaded some stuff, obviously, some applications, because I am using this device as my personal device as part of the 30-day challenge that I'm running on YouTube and on the site right now as part of my 30-day challenge series. So I've been carrying it as my personal device, and so you can see all of my personal applications in here. Of course, downloads as well. I can easily access that. But I can go over here to widgets, and I mentioned this in a lot of the Galaxy S3 videos. I like the fact that I can scroll through apps, I can scroll through a million times, and it never goes over to widgets. I have to physically click on that. I like being able to separate them like that, even though they're listed in the same menu. It's nice to be able to do some separation there, and I can actually cut out like this and do the pinch out like I did on the home screen and easily access all my pages of widgets if I so desire. And then, of course, I can scroll down through here as well. So you can see widgets out of the gate. You get some Samsung stuff, but what I like about all of these, the Android 4.1 ones are obviously customizable, as are most of the Samsung ones. So we'll go into, let's find one. Let's say Flipboard, for example. Actually, favorite settings, which I use this one. I actually don't think this one is customizable. Let me double check. 7 home screens, like I said. This one may not be customizable. I was going to say I probably picked the one that isn't customizable, but quite a few of the Samsung ones are customizable, as are the Google ones, the stock Android 4.1 ones. And then I've got my S Note here, for example, and I can bring over that and cancel that out because that one was not customizable as well. Let's see what we've got here. Let's go to S Planner. Let's see if we can customize this one maybe. So it looks like for whatever reason some of these aren't customizable, which is a stark difference from quite a few of the Samsung devices of the past. Most of those are customizable. Now the Android ones, as you can see here with Calendar, for example, or Email, we'll do Calendar, for example. And so I can bring it out here and kind of customize it as I see fit and really make it my own. So on my 7 home screens, I can kind of choose the size that I want and really maximize my screen real estate. Unfortunately, it looks like a lot of the Samsung ones are not that way. So I made an assumption. I was wrong. I will call myself out on that. Bad Aaron, bad Aaron, bad Aaron. So we'll go to Chrome here, for example, and we'll load up CNN, and I was looking at a debate story earlier. So we'll go to PhoneDog.com so you can take a look at what it looks like both in Chrome, and I'm not going to waste the time doing it in the internet browser, but you can see here Chrome is a great browser. Been really impressed with it. Portrait to landscape transitions incredibly fast here. Pinch to zoom incredibly responsive on this device. The Exynos processor works really, really well. Little to no lag whatsoever. And you've got the typical Samsung and Chrome stuff here. Back, forward, I can request the desktop site. I can do new tabs. And I love the way the tabs are organized up through here. As you can see, I can scroll back and forth and it just opens those and kind of has a nice transition effect. Really well done browser here. But just to give you a quick look at the stock browser that comes with it, not that you haven't seen it before, but we'll go into Internet. and take a look, and PhoneDog's loading up as well. So you got your tabs right here. You can add tabs or remove tabs, and then I've got my settings down here at the bottom. I can share the page, I can save for offline reading, and I've got my back and forward buttons directly up here in the URL area. So pinch to zoom, very responsive. It's funny because the feature that I never thought I'd use, that I actually use probably at least once a week now on the Galaxy S3 and now over on the Galaxy Note 2 is S-Beam. It's an absolutely fantastic tool where if you have another Galaxy S3 or you have another Galaxy Note 2, or if you have a Galaxy S3 and a Galaxy Note 2, you have friends with one of the devices or both of the devices, whatever the case may be, you can easily synchronize music files, pictures, and more using S-Beam. So let's say you're at a wedding, let's say you're at an event like that, you know what, you take a bunch of pictures, your friend doesn't take any pictures, and all of a sudden your friend's like, hey, wait a second, I want all those pictures. Well, you can highlight a certain number of pictures, hold the devices together, and automatically synchronize, or wirelessly at that, synchronize your pictures. I literally use that feature at least once every week, if not more often, once every couple of days. Very useful, not just amongst the Samsung devices I have in the office, but amongst my friends, my family that have Samsung devices. It's very useful as well. So S-Beam, great tool. You can find it in more settings here. S-Beam here is obviously turned on. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off while I'm thinking about it, because that will pull out some or remove some battery life, and we don't want that to happen. Speaking of battery life, 3,100 milliamp hour battery here, absolutely fantastic across the board when it comes to battery life. You can see, I'll go into the gallery and I'll show you some of these pictures here. Forgive me while I pull it up close and actually see here screenshots. Let's see what we've got here. Here's one of my favorites. Here we go, 20% discharging 1 day, so about 26 hours on battery here, 20% with screen use, with all of this different usage patterns. Very heavy day for me, 26 hours, I'm still sitting at 20%. It's very hard to kill this device, and granted, obviously when 4G LTE comes on this device, it will be a little bit different, and the battery will suffer a little bit because LTE is notoriously power hungry. That said, been very impressed with that. So, you know, for a lot of people, it's going to be necessarily, or not necessarily, rather a case of like Galaxy S3 or the bigger Galaxy Note. They may have an issue with the size, but some people are going to be forced to go with this because of the big battery and the fact that they don't want to get an extended battery for the Galaxy S3. They like the Note 2, the way it looks, they like the processor, and they like that battery life. So I think for a lot of road warriors, regardless of whether they like the size or not of this device, they're going to have to choose it just due to the battery life. It's been absolutely fantastic on this device, as has Android 4.1. Now, a lot of people have asked me if I see any notable differences here. Project Butter is obviously very evident in a lot of ways. Like when things load up, I'm trying to do an example here. Go to the phone. You can really see it like phone, and if I switch over rapidly to something else, you can see obviously the Project Butter stuff. For example, this. Go to Google now. Let's do a test here. Wait for it to load up. Granted, we are in a kind of a trouble spot for AT&T, so bear with that. Google Now pre-installed, as is Samsung's S Voice, but you'll see with Project Butter some nice transition effects and things like that. That said, I don't really notice a speed difference by any means between Ice Cream Sandwich and Project Butter, and Android 4.1. They're both relatively reasonable on the speed front. Not really seeing a drastic speed boost by any means, but the Exynos processor here just incredibly smooth, it runs really, really well, little to no lag on this device. So let's say, how are the Carolina Panthers doing?
The Panthers lost to the Seahawks 16-12. They are playing the Cowboys on October 21st at 1 p.m.
Well, considering I'm moving to Dallas, I am not a Cowboys fan, so that's not good. How did the Cowboys do?
The Cowboys lost to the Bears 30.
Oh, that's just tough. It's a tough week. They know that I'm tough in between teams right now, but due to the fact that PhoneDog East, or PhoneDog Charlotte at least, is relocating. So that, you can do all kinds of stuff with Google Now as a result of Android 4.1. So you've got a lot of different improvements here. Let's take a look at Quadrant Standard here and get a benchmark so we can have a look at an idea, or get a roundabout idea rather, of the overall speeds of this device in comparison to some of the other high-end devices on the market. Now, like I told you earlier, I've been really impressed with the battery life here. 3,100 milliamp hour battery is going to be perfect for those that travel on a regular basis and don't always have time to be near an outlet. They're on an airplane, they're in the car, perhaps they don't have a portable car charger or anything like that. It's really useful. Impressed with the speeds as well. 1.6 gigahertz quad-core Exynos processor, but also I've been really impressed with the earpiece on this device. It's a little bit hard to hold up to the ear due to the fact that it's a larger device. It feels kind of like you're holding up a dinner plate, but that said, in comparison to the original Note, which is a much wider device, or feels a little bit wider in the hand at least, not to mention the LG Intuition on Verizon Wireless, it's a little bit easier, and it's got the resemblance of a Galaxy S3. So they've made the design a little bit more reminiscent of Galaxy S3, kind of synchronizing their series together And so the design's nice. Earpiece is nice and loud. The speakerphone is nice and loud as well. Took it to an AT&T dead spot since I'm obviously running an AT&T SIM card in this, and have been relatively impressed with the performance. So overall RF performance has been relatively decent on this. Here's looking at you, Bodylocks. RF has been pretty decent on this device overall. So 6,126 on Quadrant Standard. So take it with a grain of salt. These tests are not indicative of day-to-day performance, but incredibly fast on the Quadrant Standard front. 6,126. So that's pretty impressive there as well. And another thing that's pretty impressive is the camera here. So you get camera-like performance with the GS3 in terms of the overall usability. And we'll pull over, let's say, the iPhone 5 to take a picture of it. And you've got some nice features here as well. You can change, of course, the effects. You can come into settings and change the megapixels, the shooting mode, scene mode, and more. And then, of course, you got your flash here. What I really like, this one's great. Buddy Photo Share, and this is a little bit different from what I was talking about before, because Buddy Photo Share, if you set it up prior to going into something, so back to my wedding example that I used earlier, let's say you walk into the wedding and you already have Buddy Photo Share enabled. Well, if there's 3 or 4 of you all taking pictures, they all synchronize to the same folder and you all can walk out with the same amount of pictures. So if you take 10 and each other friend takes 10, you can walk out with 40 pictures if there's 4 of you. I'll make sure my math's right. 10 times 4. Yeah, 40 pictures between you. So obviously you have HDR as well, Share Shot, and best face is best photo, so you can take a picture with obviously your best face and then overall best photo, and then you've got some burst mode stuff as well. So I can come in here, let's actually do this for example. Let's do best photo. I can take 8 pictures here in rapid fire succession, and I can look and see which one of these is the absolute best picture, and once I find it, I can click on it and use that one and then delete the rest. So that's a really nice feature there as well. Another one that I really like is this one. We'll go into the camcorder here. 1080p HD video recording, but when I'm recording something, I can also take still pictures. Now this isn't anything new to like the One X Plus or some of the other devices, the iPhone 5, some of the other devices on the market, but I just like the fact that I can take stills as well. So if I'm recording something, a football game, a soccer game, whatever the case may be, I can still take stills while I'm doing that and access those in my gallery. So I can go ahead and stop that and come in. Actually, let's go ahead and stop that right there. And let's see here. I should be able to go into my gallery. Bam, there we go. And take a look at that video along with the stills that I took. Apparently my bookcase, which I took a picture of a couple of days prior. So very impressive on the camera front. Pictures look great. Overall quality is fantastic, both here and on the display when you send it via email to somebody or through Dropbox or something of that nature, maybe through S-Beam as well on the device. So again, it's all about software. They do a fantastic job on the software front. Another thing I want to cover here, and I'm going to flip through so you can take a look, is S Note. So when I pull it out, obviously like I showed you in part 1, it says S Pen has been detached, and you can do a wealth of things with the S Pen, including taking screenshots. But what I like is you can turn on that feature where if you walk too far away from the S Pen, it'll show you or it'll tell you rather that you're away from your S Pen. So let's go into Note here, for example, because I want to show you some improvements. And we saw these, or some of these at least, with Android 4.0 on the Galaxy Note. We saw the premium software suite, but again, it's brought over onto the Galaxy Note 2. And so I can do 5 plus 5, for example. And we'll do, not 5 plus S, 5 plus 5 equals 10. Actually, I shouldn't have done equals. But it brings up a bunch of different mathematical formulas here. 5 times 2. And then I can search for it and find the answer to 5 times 2. Other features include Shape Match, which is I'm a big fan of this one for classes. Say you're in geometry class, you're doing something in college, you're doing a diagram for work, and customize, kind of make this my own, bam. And it kind of just lines stuff up and makes it a little bit cleaner. And then of course handwriting to text. And let's do, hey, let me have it, there we go. Oh, let's turn that off. Bam, there we go. The joys of unlocked devices often mean that they come, at least in some ways, in different languages. So, hey, for example, I can say bye if I want to. And overall, I find that, for example, and I can record stuff and it can record my motion as well. So if I'm drawing something, I can record it and then play it back and people can see how I drew it and how I got to the point that I did with the drawing. But overall, I find that the responsiveness of the S Pen is much better. I find that it's much more resembles rather, so you can see here I'm going to say, hey, I can't write and talk at the same time. To me, it resembles real writing more so than the original Galaxy Note. I feel like I'm actually writing on a piece of paper because it looks a lot more like my handwriting than it ever did on the Galaxy Note. Of course, I have the features here, the ability to change color, to change brush type, and more. But again, just it looks very much more natural to me. Aaron Baker. as you can see there. Clean and easy to use, and then of course I can use this as a screenshot tool as well. A screenshot of my wallpaper, or my home screen here, for example. Snap it, bam, can draw on it. Facebook, Foursquare, let's get rid of Foursquare, let's get rid of Fandango, Haytel, let's get rid of that. Play Store, let's highlight that, and I can kind of play around with it and have some fun. Bam. And I can copy that to the clipboard. So nice, functional, easy to use S Pen. It's gotten easier. Love features like that. Also love the preview abilities here. So we'll go into videos, for example, and let's say video player. And in addition to, I like this, I can hover it over and see a preview of the video. Very, very cool there. A lot of cool little features like this. Wonders of nature. And I can do the preview like that. And then also, I can actually click on the video like I could in the Galaxy S3, and then I can bring it out and move it around on the home screen as well, so I can watch it while I'm doing something else on the device itself. So very functional there. Absolutely love that. And all in all, this is an incredible upgrade to not only the Galaxy Note, but to the Galaxy S3 as well. And I see this really complementing the Galaxy S3 in a lot of ways. But in more cases than one, I can see people that are new to the Galaxy series, be it the Note 2 or the S3, they're road warriors and they need that battery. Perhaps they like content creation, so they're all about a bigger display for listening to music or watching videos or writing stuff down. Perhaps they're in college, perhaps they're in meetings all the time and they need something to to jot down notes in. I think this can be a great device for them. So the Note 2, when you look at this, immediately you think nerd device, somebody that wants a big tablet in their pocket, something of that case. Not the case here, and I don't think Samsung would have been able to market it to 5 different carriers if that was the case, rather. I think they've got a huge opportunity here to sell to people that have a hard time seeing, they need a great battery life device for their road warrior, for their road travels, for somebody that wants a really powerful device. So even though this device may be too big for a lot of people, myself included, quite frankly, the performance of this device, the capabilities of this device, especially when it hits the States with LTE, and the fact that it's got a nice big battery, make this device, at least in my opinion, the best Android device on the market right now. So stay tuned. It's coming soon to 5 US carriers. Really excited about that. And we'll have a bunch of dogfights with this device as well. So stay tuned to PhoneDog.com. Hey, hit us up on Facebook as well. Facebook.com/PhoneDog. We're doing the greatest tech giveaway ever too. So be sure to check that out on PhoneDog.com and on Facebook page. Facebook.com/PhoneDog. Hit me up on Twitter as well. Let me know what you think of this device. PhoneDog_Aaron on Twitter. Facebook.com/PhoneDogAB on Facebook. I'd love to hear from you what you want to see in dogfights. We'll go a little bit more in depth into the software. There's only so much we can cover in a dogfight. In a review rather, unfortunately. But in dogfights, we can cover some more software stuff that really gives this device a competitive edge over other devices on the market. So be sure to stay tuned for that. But the verdict, this is the best Android device on the market. But as we all know with Android devices, they come and go pretty quickly. At least they hold that crown pretty temporarily in a lot of cases. But that said, Galaxy S3 has been doing really well. I expect this thing to do really well when it hits the States also. Keep it locked on the site for more on the Galaxy Note 2, and as always, we'll see you next time.